Hi, and welcome back to LearnVisualFoxPro.com. In this lesson, we'll be taking a look at basic reporting, and I call this part 1 because I hope to make a few more videos on reporting. So we're going to be looking at essentially a very simple report, which is simply a listing of the records in a table. So let's get started. One thing I want to point out is that if you notice something different about my Visual FoxPro desktop is that I'm actually using version 6 of Visual FoxPro for this demonstration, and that's just so that for those users who may not have version 9, which sports a newer look and may make it difficult for them to relate if they are using version 6 of Visual FoxPro Lower. I went back down 2 versions for that reason. In Visual FoxPro 9, if you do have 9, once you've learned to create a report in version 6, you can pretty much feel your way around the new interface. And it's not all that new, just a few things that are new. I do have it here and will flip over to Visual FoxPro 9 if time permits at the end of this lesson and just show you how to do the same thing very quickly. Okay, so basic reporting. First we'll set our default folder. No IntelliSense here in version 6. Kind of got spoiled with it in version 8. And this is lesson 4 folder. Set defa and 2. Okay, so default folder, and so what we're going to do is just simply use the create command again, and we'll say we want to create a report, and we'll give it the name VFP6 RPT1. And when we do so, press enter key, we get the report designer maximized or just windowed here. So I can drag this around, or I can maximize it, which I'll do for now. Okay, so when you open up the report designer for the first time to create a report, you're given 3 default bands. That's B-A-N-D-S bands. We have a page header band, we have the detail band, and a page footer band, which is essentially all you need to create a report. And to create a report, you simply place label objects on your report and field objects on your report to report either from memory variables, or it could be function calls, but most commonly it's from your fields within a given table. I'm going to press Ctrl F2 to get back to my command window. One of the things I want to point out here in this part 1 of the video is that we'll be creating a report that is not added to the data environment of the report designer. The report designer have the ability to automatically open the table that we specify. So if I go to data environment and add, I can add a table that I wish to report from, such as contact 1. But for this exercise, I will not be adding a table to the designer. I will simply be reporting from the active table in the current work area. Okay, so let's get the report controls toolbar up. And so we have the label tool, we have the fields tool, we have the line draw tool. Of course, we have the rectangle tool and the rounded rectangle. And here, if we want to put pictures in our reports or an ActiveX control, we can do so. We're doing with basics today, so we'll probably look at the first 3. Okay, so to add a report header, we'll use the label tool. I'll click somewhere in the page header band and begin typing. my first report. To end editing, I click off of the text. Then I can click on the text region, and of course I can drag this around as I would do on a form. I can go to Format to edit, rather to change the font and the style of the text. I'm just going to add a few more labels here, such as the runtime of the report. So every time someone runs this report, and if they were to print it, we could have an idea of the date and the time that the report was run. So I click on the field button from the toolbar, and now I get the report expression. And expression can be a memory variable, it could be a function call, or it could be a field name. I'm going to use the date time function. Click OK. There's some other things in the report expression field which I will get to when it's appropriate. Okay. So next I want to add a page counter. Click off and then click on the field control, and here I'll click the ellipsis. Visual FoxPro maintains some global variables that begins with the underscore, and this one, page number, actually counts our pages for us, and so we can just simply report that back to our report and click OK. And so we have a field. Again, we can report from a field or a memory variable. So as our page count increases, this variable will automatically increment, and its value will be displayed in the page header. Now, anything that we specify in the page header will appear on every page of your report. Okay. So next we want to let's switch over to the command window, and I want to open the data session window, and I want to browse the contact 1 DBF. I'll minimize that. And so because I've not added this table to the data environment, I need to keep it open so I can see the names of the field, because in version 6 Visual FoxPro will not give me any assistance. And let me show you what I mean. I click field, and now I'm going into the detail band. So I'm going to specify, if I select ellipsis, I don't get the list of the fields in the table here, again because the table is not a part of the data environment of the report, and that's okay. I simply know what the name of the field is. I'll type it in myself, fname, and I'm not using the table alias. I'm simply using the name of the field. And the advantage of that is that if I have another table with similar column names or field names, I can simply report from it. So that's one of the advantages of not adding the table to the data environment and not using table alias. Okay, so let's add some more. There's two more here. And so I want last name. And I want phone. Okay, so now I can close the table, and we can we'll save this, and we can preview it. And so we see the information that we had here. This is static text. Label is for static text, and then we use the fields for expressions that will be evaluated at runtime. And so these are values that will change. And so I'm getting the date time, and over here, I magnify this, I am getting the page number. And of course, I'm also getting all the data from my table. Anything specified in the detail band will automatically scroll through the list of records in your table and print the contents from the specified fields. Okay, so I want to get rid of that big gap between the fields, so I'll move this up. And also to make the report more readable, I'll put some static heading in the header portion of the report. And so I'll call this first name. Oh, stop it. Click over here, go back, and last name. Click away. Note, I could select this and go edit, copy, and then click somewhere else and go edit, paste, and drag it over here. I'm doing this because I want to demonstrate how you would edit. If I wish to make changes to this label, I simply click on the label tool and click within the text region, and then I may delete as necessary. So here I type phone. Okay, so we have the headers, and here I'm going to use the line tool to draw a line. Let's go back all the way over. Okay, so this is not where I'll put this here. Okay, I'll select this, this. I'm going to drag them over a little bit using the arrow key. Okay, alright, so save and preview again, and so we see that the header information that we just entered. Now I want to show you why we place this in the header and not in the detailed band, and what would happen if we were to place that in the detail band. So let's move these guys down a bit, and I'm going to take these three, I'll leave the line up there, and preview. And so what you have in the detail band, for every record you have the header being repeated. And so we don't put stuff that we don't want repeated in the detail band, we put it in the header band, as it's displayed only once at the top of the page of every page. And note, if I have spaces at the top when I preview, then I get a bunch of space at the top as well. So space is repeated. Anything I have in the detail band gets repeated there. So move this up, remove the space, and then when we preview the report, it's more nicely formatted. Okay, so let's add one more thing to this report. I want to put a page count down here, sorry, a page total. I just want to demonstrate some of the formatting, some of the features, the calculating features of the report designer. So I'm going to take a copy of phone, Control C, Control V, and drag that down here, resize it. And double click report expression, and I'm going to go over to the calculations button, and I'm going to tell the report writer to do calculation for me. So I don't want the contents of the phone number. I simply want you to count the number of phone numbers I have, which is essentially counting the number of records that I have, because every record does have a phone number, whether it's blank or no. And so what I'll tell the report to also do is to reset the counter at the end of every page, because I'm putting the variable on the page footer, which happens to be on every page of a multi-page report. So if this report had 10 pages, they would all show the page total and the count, and I need that count to be restarted whenever I start a new page. So that is why I did the reset end of page. And we'll be seeing more of that when we do groupings as well, so bear that in mind. Okay, so let's save this, and we preview it. And this is all from the designer. Okay, so if I scroll down to the bottom, I should get a count, and that's page total 4. So it's counting the number of phone numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here we have created a simple report. We've added a report title. We've added some other information that may be helpful to us so we can know when the report was run. Using the label tool, using the field tool, we called a function within our report. We specified a variable also, and then we also reported directly from fields within our table. Notice that, and also too, I pointed out that we did not specify the alias of the table. We simply put the field names, and there's an advantage, some benefits to doing so, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. So we'll close this, and we'll save changes. Okay. So note that to run this report, we use create report to create the report. To actually run the report, we use the report command, report form, and we give it the name of the report, RPT1, and by default, if that's all I type, it will go to the Visual FoxPro desktop. So you see the report running here, and the rest of it goes off screen. Okay, so report form and report name shows you your report. Just as a side note, I could do a filter. I could say report form for and put a condition there for phone number equal 876 283 0393. And when the report runs again, it clears the screen automatically, and of course it only shows me that record. So I note that I can add filter conditions to the report itself. Okay, so traditionally when we run a report, we use the preview command clause to have a nice windowed report that we can move around. So I can scroll up and down this report, see that I can change the zoom factor, 75%. May not be able to read much of that. And then if I had multiple pages, these are navigation buttons, previous page, first page. I could jump to a page, next, and of course last page. I could print directly from here to the printer, or I can exit the view. Now I'm going to close this table to demonstrate that because the table is not specified in the data environment, when I go to report from the table, I must either explicitly open the table prior to calling the report form command, or if I do report form without opening the table myself, the report will prompt me for a table. Now I'm about to do something. We build a table based on contact 1, but here I'm going to specify friends, and I did not get an error because friends have the same number of columns, at least the ones that I'm reporting on anyways. It has a first name, last name, and a phone field in it, and therefore my report works just fine, though it's a different table, contact 1. So friends is the active table. When I run the command, it reports from friends. If I go to contact 1 and run it, notice the contents will change in the background here. I now have 4 listings from the contact 1 table. And so that's one of the advantages of not specifying the table in the data environment of the report, and also not using an alias. Okay? Because if I use an alias, then my report would be bound to the table alias that I did specify in the report.